Hi, we are live, and I'm very excited to have Danny Peavy here today. And we are going to talk about business branding, and it's all about stories. So, introduce yourself, Danny.
Yeah. Hey guys. Well, good afternoon. My name is Danny Peavy. I run a small business branding and marketing agency called Story Sells, and we essentially build brands for small business owners. We help small business owners build a brand that they love and really drive more sales using the power of story. So, really excited to be here and to talk to you, Veronica. And yeah, love talking about one of my favorite subjects. So.
Exactly, and that's one of my favorite subjects as well. And let me introduce myself. I'm Veronica Jeans. I'm an e-commerce queen and Shopify guru, and I love getting my clients up and running with their products and selling profitably very fast. Okay, so let's talk about branding and how important it is to have a story because most people think that branding is a logo and colors. It's more than logo and colors, right?
Yeah, it really is. And just a little bit more about me and how I even got to this place where we talk about branding and story. But I started a web design company from scratch a couple years ago, and we grew to about almost $500,000 in 2 years. And the reason why we were able to grow so fast was a couple things. One, we really made it easy for people to buy. We had some easy to buy packages, and for your clients that have e-commerce stores, everyone knows how important it is to make it easy for folks to buy your product, right? We want to take the resistance and the aggravation out of sales, out of buying, and then. But the other thing that I attributed it to after doing some soul searching on a weekend is our ability to tell a story, and our ability to tell a story that resonated with our target audience. And so we've now launched this brand called Story Sells. But to your point, when most small business owners do think about branding, they think about the way their brand looks. And don't get me wrong, that is very important. You have to have the right look, the right words, the right message, the right product. Everything needs to be right.
Mm.
But what I personally have found is that when you dive into the psychology of someone's brain, when you dive into the understanding or the analysis around like how we um, are made up as human beings, how our brain works every day. The reality is that storytelling is the vehicle that all of our brands need in order to drive more sales. So that's just something that I've personally doubled down on, and I think in today's day and age of information overload and having an Apple Watch and an iPhone and your kids yelling at you and dinner needs to get on the table and I need to put gas in my car. Like we all kind of realize that I need to say words to my audience so that it makes them say, oh, they're speaking right to me.
Yes.
And the vehicle to do that is story.
Absolutely. I mean, you with the websites and in e-commerce, I would say it's even more important because people tend to think, okay, I've got a product, people will love it, it's the best in sliced bread, and everybody will buy it. But again, it's so busy. We keep competing with the Amazons of today, and we start off small. And even if for me, it's numbers. If you make 1 million, 2 million, is not what you're actually making, is what you're keeping in your pocket. And how do people actually remember you to come and buy from you is they have to love you and they have to get to know you and feel that they know you, not your company. So I try to really encourage e-commerce owners to get from behind and actually show their faces and talk to their customers, because that is so important for them to make them feel like they love you. It's like Sally Field said, oh my God, you love me, I mean, exactly that. And when I were years ago, when we used to do networking and go to networking events and shake everybody's hand, the way I used to distinguish between people is their story about their business. And so they would give me the card and I go, tell me your story. Why are you doing this? Why are you passionate? And I would literally remember what they were doing and how they were doing it, because they were telling me a story. And that's how we remember stuff. If you think about how you grow up on stories. That's what you remember, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I mean, we all, at the end of the day, or at least I do this. We all sit down on the couch and watch TV and movies, uh, because it's actually giving our brain a reset. It's giving our brain something that's easy to follow, right? Because there's a character of a story, there's a problem, they meet somebody in the story that puts a plan in place, there's a call to action, and they get what they want, right? There's a character transformation. And the reality is that we're all living our own stories in our own lives. We
Yes,
all have problems. We are all looking for solutions and products and other people to help us overcome our problems. We're looking for a plan that we can execute to get to where we want to be. And when we watch a story or we watch a movie or a TV show, we're really kind of, it's a bit therapeutic because we're watching somebody that also has a problem. Like,
yes, exactly.
so that's why it's so powerful. And you're right. I mean, I think at the end of the day, there's a reason why the Hollywood industry and the movies and all the production studios, there's a reason why even in a down economy, they're never going to go out of business, because stories just make us feel alive. They make us remember. They make us understand.
Yes.
It's pretty powerful.
Yes. And that's also why I tend to push videos, because and blogging, you're pouring your heart out and educating your customers. And if you're in front of your customers, it is amazing what you can do. I've seen some small businesses and local businesses that are online all the time, entertaining the customers, and they're the ones that get remembered, not the ones that are not doing anything and just sell, sell, sell. We don't want to be sold to. That's the whole problem. I don't want to be sold to. Even if I walk into a retail store and they start attacking me, and when I walk into the door, I go, cheers, I'm out of here. But it's true, right?
Right. No,
So,
I hate to be sold to, but they love to buy.
exactly. But I mean, if you think about, if you're walking into a restaurant and they give you good customer service and they're helping you and they're chatting with you, you love them more than when you walk in and you go, okay, I've got this, 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 and this is special. So, and that's why you have to be able to tell your story online and share with people. You've got to share with people. You are in business to sell stuff. I don't care whether it's a service or a product or whatever. You are in business, to sell stuff and to make money. And the way to do that is to get your customers in. And the way to do that is to get your customers to take notice, right?
Yep. Yeah, they have to take notice. And I think, as we're discussing, that I think the only way that I know to do that is to say words or, write words that, again, people can see themselves in. So one analogy I like to use is, and this is kind of like the worst analogy, but it's also maybe like the best analogy, and I'm not actually a political person, but it's just a great kind of way to help people understand. But if you think about the 2016 election, which we're about to come into another election, Donald Trump was elected president, right? Now, if we think about the people that he ran against, and maybe even the audience watching, ask yourself, what did Jeb Bush run on? What was his message? We don't know. We don't remember.
No.
What about Mark Rubio? What was his message? We don't know. We don't remember. What was Donald Trump's message?
Make America great.
Make America great again. So for folks with e-commerce stores that are watching, your product is probably the best product that's ever been made in your store or in your industry. And I think for small business owners, I'm going to tie that analogy here in a second, but so what happens is I think people create products for like, this is amazing. Why aren't people buying? People don't always buy the best products and services.
No.
They don't always elect maybe the best leader, or they don't always, procure the best, I don't know, piece of food or the best restaurant, right? And as small business owners, it's so, our brands are so personal that we have so much invested. But people buy products and services and elect leaders, and literally any transaction on the planet, they enact with brands that are the clearest.
Yes.
So even if you create the best product on the planet, if you're not the clearest,
yes,
then you're not going to be successful. You have to be very, very clear. And the way to get clear is by writing words that sell. And the way to write words that sell is to dive into this psyche of story.
Yes. So what would a small business owner have in e-commerce? Where would they start?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think first of all, you have to start with understanding, and for a lot of people, when I say this, it's going to be like, of course, but it really is like, who do I sell to, right? Who is my target audience? So if everybody can think about their favorite movie right now, the equivalent of this in a movie is like, who's the protagonist? Who's the character on the screen? Right? Like your character or your customer is the character in the movie. Like they're living their own story. So that's the first step is who's my target audience? And, create what's called a customer avatar. What do they look like? How old are they? Where do they hang out online? What are their interests? How much money do they make per year, right? Are they married? Are they single? What type of books do they read, right? I mean, this is literally step one that any and all brand owners need to do. Why? Because as you move on and move forward with marketing, the question of like, which channels do I sell to? Do I do SEO? Do I do pay-per-click? Do I do LinkedIn ads? The answers to those questions will come with who am I talking to?
Yes.
That's really step one.
Exactly. And then one of my big bugbears is when I land on your site, do I know what problem you're solving? What are you offering me? I mean, it doesn't matter if you have a product. I want to know what that product will do for me immediately. I don't want to scroll. I don't want to do anything. And it must be visually, and it must say something. There has to be text, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we call it the grunt test. So the grunt test is like, like even if I go to a website right now, like, like what's that like? Just what do they do, and how does that product make my life better? Right. Yes. And it is amazing to me, Veronica, how many small business owners are so close to what they do every day that it's hard for all of us to figure out what those words should be. I see that a lot, even like with financial service folks and lawyers, but even with e-commerce clients, right? It's hard to really articulate why people are buying what you're buying. Here's something else that people could do as a first step, and this is a novel concept. Talk to your customer.
Yes.
Just a 30-minute chat with your customer and say, why did you buy my product?
Yes.
What type of problems were you having before you bought my product?
Yes.
What did you search for in Google when you were looking for a product like ours? And then how is your life better? If you ask those 4 questions and like translate that into some great website copy.
That is brilliant. Yes.
It's I know it's so simple, but there's something in the marketing world nowadays where we're kind of getting away from something that simple and basic. But that's also something that I would recommend that people do.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was talking to and I call every single client that I have, they get called by their product that they sell. So Kelly, the skincare lady, and Donna, the puzzle lady. So Kelly, the skincare lady, she's a Parisian Pure Indulgence, Parisian's Pure, but she makes her own products, and she's grown, as I said, she's grown quite a bit. We had a discussion before the live, but she's grown her products from very little bit of money, and she's had a small budget, but she's grown her products because she's online and everything. But I was going to actually mention something else, and you were saying about, I've completely lost my train of thought as well. But no. But anyway, let's go. Let's continue, because I'll remember this afterwards. My brain jumps ahead, and then I start discussing things in my head. So I'm 5 steps ahead. Anyway, but so the important thing is to put your so she's doing videos and talking to people, and she stopped doing them, so I'm encouraging her to really get in front of the camera again and talk to her customers. Oh, this is what I was saying. So I said to her we were talking about blogs and how to attract more customers to her website. She religiously does a newsletter every week, and she's one of the top small businesses on Constant Contact. She's been doing this for 10 years on Constant Contact, and maybe more longer now. And she's one of the top businesses on the email newsletter thing. And I said to her, why don't the next step is just talk to your customers, see why they're buying your stuff, see where they're coming from, and where they're actually, is it from the email, or is it from Facebook or Instagram? We can't do everything because we literally don't have the time in the day. And so you got to really know where the bulk of your customers are, and then that's where you got to concentrate on. But I mean, she sees them on a daily basis as well. She's an esthetician as well, so she can actually talk to them and say, okay, and have those 4 questions. That's brilliant. I need to write that down so I can tell them.
I need to write them down too. I mean, just said them out loud. I'm like, wow, I need to write those down. So
yeah, exactly. So I mean, it is because we tend to think when we're selling products, and I count myself in as well, because since both you and I are selling our products to customers, right? We tend to think way too complicated, right? We need to think, we need to work on our business and not in our business. So many clients tend to be so busy in their businesses, they tend to forget that they have to step away and look at the big picture. What am I representing? And we all have the same problem. I don't care how much money you make, so you all have the same problem. Is what does it look like to your customers, and do they like coming to your website? Literally, right? What attracts them to the website? Is it the stories? Is it how you sell your products? Maybe you can improve selling your products by talking to your customers. You might have a little snag, because we have lots of abandoned cart. I think abandoned cart is like 63%.
wow.
Yeah. So your conversion rate is between very small budget 0.5% to 3%. If you're selling 3%, you're doing really well. And some people are selling over that, but 3% is about average. Now you got to think about getting 1,000 customers or 1,000 people onto your website, and you're only selling 3%, right? Or 1.5%. Right. So how to keep them on the website and how to make them buy is probably one of the biggest questions you have as an e-commerce person. And I really think that so here's the thing with stories as well, is you can repeat your stories on every single product page that you have. Because if they're going to land on that product page and they go, who's this lady again, and why am I buying from her? That your story is right there on the page. This is what makes me special, because my products are so fantastic. And why are they fantastic, right? As I said, with Kelly, and even with I'm picking on my two top girls here, but even with Donna, my puzzle lady, and she's the missing piece puzzle. She sells, it's like a gift item, right? So people have to upload the puzzle, but the problem is getting the people to her website, because they can go to all these other large companies, Walmart, Walgreens, they're all selling personalized puzzles, right? But how do you get those people to come to your website, to your e-commerce store, to actually buy from you? So that encouragement of giving her customers more stories, right? Mm-hmm. By writing her blogs, I think that's how to attract customers as well, by writing news or stories or experiences, or writing the stories of your customers as well. So there's several ways to actually take the whole story thing and get all that information on your website. Don't you agree?
I would 100% agree. Yeah, and it sort of becomes like a tactical marketing conversation.
Yes.
But yeah, I think one of the most powerful tactics is what you said, which is, you could tell the story as a business owner, but how much more powerful is it when your customers tell the story themselves of using the product? Even us transitioning and rebranding into this story sales brand, the new website that I'm actually creating for our business is less about the graphics and the stock photography and more about actually having my clients that have had the transformation through working with me and my brand of loving their new brand, right?
Yes.
Of creating a brand that they love, that they can be proud of, and putting literally a picture of them on like the first section of my homepage and having a quick little social proof testimonial with, hey, view Pam's story, right? Or view Don's story. So, just as an actual, piece of dog food that I'm using on myself, like I think that really is the most powerful. And I was watching somebody the other day that was talking about advertising, right? And just the social proof around ads, where you take the features and the benefits and the amazing things about your product, and even just run an ad with a customer that's using your product and talking about how it made their life better. I mean, if I have an e-commerce store, that's got to be one of the first things I do, right? Is
Yeah.
just, and the other thing is, I think is because you picked up on, it sounded like to me like maybe some of your audience or some of your entrepreneurs maybe being afraid to share their story.
Yes.
Is that something that's
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
I see that a lot too, and what that really is, Veronica, is false humility. It's an idea, which, by the way, is coming from a good place, but it's this idea that it's not about me, it's about my customer. And the irony is that that's true.
Yes.
But the way to make it about your customer is by having authority and empathy so that you could help your customer, who is the fallen hero in the story, overcome the challenges they want because they meet you, the guide who's made an amazing product that's going to make their life better. In order to actually make it about your customer, you have to, as a business owner, share your story from an empathetic perspective. Because here's the irony, that if you don't, and even like you think about your contact us, or you think about the big button on your website, whether it's buy now or whatever, if you use something weak like contact us, get in touch, you know what it actually says to your customer? That I am not confident in my product or service. Like when I was dating my wife and I was ready to marry her, I didn't get down on one knee and say, do you want to contact us? I didn't get down on one knee and say, do you want to learn more?
Yes. Yes.
She would have kicked me out and be like, get out of here, bro. I'm not marrying you, right? What I said is, will you marry me? That's a strong call to action.
Yes.
So my point is that for anybody struggling with like kind of this sense of false humility, or it's not about me, you're right, it's not. It's about your client. But in order for you to sell more products, you really have to be bold and confident in your story. And here's the thing, what you're really looking for is an authentic story.
Yes.
Like we're talking about at the top of the hour, like the reason why most business owners feel that way is because they don't want to be a sleazy salesperson.
Yes, exactly.
But they do want to be themselves and be authentic and to tell their story. So that's why story is so powerful, is because story is the actual vehicle to make sure that you're not a sleazy salesperson.
Yeah.
And most people that create products, like your clients, are doing so from a place of pain. They're creating something they couldn't find.
Exactly. A lot of my clients started their businesses because they themselves had a problem. And then they said, I want to create a product around this problem and I want to sell this. So, so if you have an about page, so how much information should you put on there about you personally? That's really a big question as well.
That's a really, really great question. So I think you, on an about page, my main thing with when you talk about yourself, right, is I think two things. It's empathy, right? It's this notion of like, I know how you feel, right? So any client that I work with, when it comes to like the section of the homepage or the about page where it's like, okay, we're gonna make your client the hero of your brand, but we're gonna make you like the supporting character that helps the hero get what they want in the story. Right. In order to do that, if you think about Star Wars, you had Luke Skywalker was the hero, and then you have like Yoda, right? That's like trust the Force, right? Like the guide, right, always like says some crazy statement, but really that's based in empathy.
Yes.
And it's like you can do it, and that's what you're playing. That's what your audience or like your e-commerce stores are playing. So, but specifically with the about page, I still think you need to show that empathy and show that authority. Like,
Yes.
hey, I was having this issue. I realized that I can make it better. I created this product to help the lives of other moms just like you. Like, you need to show that empathetic story. But I also think, by doing that, you're also still making it about your client because you're like, hey, like I'm here to help you, but this is the reason why I did what I did. So a lot of people think that with story that you can't talk about yourself. You actually really can. It's
Yes.
just, the tactics and it kind of gets a little bit of a devil's in a details situation, but it's actually really important to still talk about yourself around a brand story.
Yeah. And I always say, you need to shout stuff out. If you've been in a magazine, or I mean, you see all these successful people have all these magazines at the bottom, and some of them, I don't know if they've actually been in the magazine or not. There's so many of them, but they're shouting out. They're saying, hey, I'm part of this, and I'm part of that, and I'm part of the other. So sometimes I have a really hard it's like a hard job of getting that out of my customers. Okay, so what are you part of? Well, that's not important. Yes, it is, associations, or what have you done? Are you volunteering? Or there's all that empathy as well, volunteering, and I do this. Actually, I don't do websites. Okay, I really don't do websites, but I do, every now and again I get sucked in, right? So I helped this orthodontist to do his website, and he had the most amazing. He goes every year. He'll go with it, just South America, and he helps the babies with hair, lips, and helps them. Amazing stories. But he had this on this obscure page of, and it was, this is important, people really love you because you're doing this. So put it on your front page and let's make a bloody video, right?
Totally.
So again, so you got to, I mean, if you think about the very big shoe company that sold online is
the big. You're asking me the big
yes,
shoe company that sold online?
yes,
Like Zappos or
Zappos.
Okay.
And they used, we'll give away a shoe for wada, but
Right.
you got to use this type of thing, be involved first, and then use, and there's, again, I have customers going, well, I'm really involved in this volunteering and I really believe in it, but they don't want to shout about it. And I go, you really, because it's so close to their heart and it's part of their, they, what's happened in their family. So they don't really want to share it. But again, you're in business to make money and you got to get these freaking customers to come to your website. So shout about it. Tell them that that's what you're doing, because we are competing against Amazon, large companies, Walmart, all these guys are online now. And, so we've got this little voice that we have to talk about. So we need to make sure really attracting customers, because oh my God, you're doing so much. And it's really coming from the heart instead of the large companies that do it. And it's not really coming from the heart, We know it's a marketing thing.
No,
But
100%. The authority is I always say, like salt on your food. It's just a little bit. Like, we need to show our authority. You can do that with testimonials. You can do that with accreditations, with other logos and companies you've worked with. But even if you, when you were talking, I was thinking about Chip and Joanna Gaines. Like, people love Chip and Joanna Gaines, right? But they are humble. They're honest. They're hardworking. They do great work. But if you think about story from their perspective, like, were they quote unquote doing self promotion? I don't think they had a TV show, sure, like they quote unquote promote, but I think people confuse quote unquote self promotion and say, it's not about me. Again, it's going back to this false humility thing.
yes.
But the reality is that that's holding a lot of us back, because there's greatness inside of every one of us.
Yes.
And I think there's just a lot of confusion around this topic and around, how much do I talk about myself and how much do I put all the good things I've done. if people can remember one thing, it's actually holding yourself and your company back. And I can dive even more into the weeds around why that's the case. But the best analogy I can give right now is if you watch the Chip and Joanna Gaines show, and Joanna never talked about herself and her story, right? If she never talked about her and Chip's story, you wouldn't connect with her. You honestly wouldn't even appreciate her talent, and you wouldn't see the transformation that she does with homes. It was only through her being vulnerable and being authentic and being not a salesperson, but she shared her story. But here's the thing: people that love them because they want to be just like them.
Yes, exactly. You
So,
hit it on the head. Yes.
so that's the thing for anybody listening that has an e-commerce store or a product store. Think about why you love, assuming you love Chip and Joanna Gaines. You want to be like them, but you want to be like them because they share their story.
Yes.
So if you don't share your story, then you're really not going to be able to sell as many products, in my opinion. So you kind of need to get all over this false humility thing, this idea that, I'm not great, or, being great means that you're being cocky and arrogant. No, it's not. I love basketball, right? Like when I watch Michael Jordan play basketball, right? Or maybe some of your folks watch and love cooking, or you love knitting, or you love puzzles, or if you think about the person that you love the most in the industry you're affiliated with, think about, like, when you watch these people, how much the world slows down, right?
Yes.
How things stop when you're watching, Julia Childs cook something, or you're watching Michael Jordan play basketball. Why is the world slowing down? And why are we just like, just like engaged? You know why that's happening? Is because those individuals broke fear, broke shame, broke self-worth issues in order to become great. And they took their greatness and they said, I am going to be great because I was put on this earth to do this.
Mhm.
The reason why we love those folks is because they were courageous, they overcame that stuff, and they took their greatness and they, it was like a stock. They doubled the return, they tripled the return. And so at some point, for small business owners, before you get to that $1 million mark, even, you really have to come to grips with who you are, your greatness, and you really have to understand that um, you bearing your talents, bearing your greatness, is actually the thing holding your business back. And now we've officially turned into a Tony Robbins video, but
But
I
it's
just
true. It's true.
I do want to say that because I see that a lot, and I've seen it with myself.
Yes.
I mean, when I started my business a couple years ago, it was the same thing. It's not about me, and it's not. But in order to serve, you really just have to share a lot more.
Yes, I totally agree. But it is about that, because so you're talking about the Michael Jordans and I don't know who these Gaines people are, but I'm an American foreigner,
Right.
but so but all these people, we know their stories, right? We know where they come from. We know that because it's obviously they've talked to people and they've told people their stories, and that's what also attracts us to these people as well, their stories, because they've overcome whatever they needed to do to become successful. And I totally agree with you about that. That is such a good analogy that you've mentioned. I mean, they're sports. You always think, oh my God, they were famous, they're famous, and they're not nothing like me. But they started at the bottom as well. I mean, they had to work really hard to get there. But it is, we fell in love with their stories.
Most people that we all follow in our life, we follow because we want to be just like them. If you
Yes.
really think about it.
Yes.
And sometimes that can become a little bit of a crutch for some of us to not take action.
Yes. Yes.
And that's really like the true psychology around story, right? Is these people, again, some people are asking me like, are we all just selfish, Danny? It's like, no, I don't think we're all that way. But that's really what's happening, right? Is like we're following people because subconsciously, even if we don't recognize it, we want to be just like them.
Yeah. And even if you're not talking about famous people, if you're just thinking about people that you admire in your circle. You want to be like them and earn as much money as them. And I'm just thinking about conversations I've heard, but it's just not even famous people, just people that are a little bit more successful than us, is so you can be that person to the person behind you as well, because everyone thinks that you're so successful in business anyway, so fake it. You're famous, right? Stick to me, baby, and I'll make you famous, right? So, so
comparison thing is hard nowadays, but I once had a buddy that told me, you have authority with the people you've helped.
yes.
And so even if somebody's listening that has, maybe they've only sold one SKU of their product, maybe they've sold 1,000, you can have confidence in the one person you've helped, and you can tell that story.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And they have amazing stories. Now, every single one of them have amazing stories. I don't care what they sell, unless you have industrial products. That's another issue. But so I don't know how you can help people. Well, you can help them with their problem about their plant, but still, it is so hard. That's my biggest thing, is getting my customers to tell their story properly.
Yes.
And from the heart, and tell me about your puppies and your kitties and your babies and your grandchildren or whatever. But show me a little bit about your life, and I tell you what, people will remember you, because I've got one customer. He's got one product. He's in his 70s, and he created this product. He retired. He created this product because he couldn't flick the normal bit lighters or whatever those lighters, because of his arthritis. So he created a product literally from the thing that goes into the plastic thing, and the thing in the front, and whatever, the electrical lighter. And so he sells this one product. Again, he has a very small baby budget, and he wants everybody else to do it for him. But again, his story is so amazing, so, and he's not really using the story. What he should be doing is like advertising his story rather than his product, right? That should be one of his main advertising, is like, okay, I created this product because, right?
100%.
And you know what? And I think any of my customers, if I think about all my customers, is they have the same thing. They have the same story. They created a product because of a problem, and they solved the problem. And people, I admire them so much by doing something like this, because it's a huge risk. A lot of my customers have come from, teachers that stepped out and are selling online. It's like, whew, right? Or they're going from corporate to becoming an entrepreneur. It's a huge step and a huge mind shift change. But I admire them because they are doing that, because how difficult it is, and they are succeeding. Doesn't matter how big or how small they're succeeding, but they are, they're making a living. And that's to be admired as well, right? So I love talking to people about their stories and how they're changing their lives, and how they're making it better or earning something. I'm training my husband to earn after he retires, by the way. I've got his life mapped out, but but so it is, so if I'm doing that, I always say to them, look at, they got to use me as a customer, because I really suck as a customer. I'll pop on and I'll hop off if it's not interesting, really, really, really. And I don't read instructions properly. I will buy a tin, and my husband says, did you want to buy this? And I go, oh yes, it's something I want to try. Because I don't read, I'm like, boom, boom, boom. All right. So you got customers like me that, so you got to think about, okay, so how am I, as the business owner, on other websites and other stores, how do I react to stuff, and then make notes of it, as besides talking to your customers as well, which I think is a great idea.
I know, right? It's just the simplest idea, but it's lost on a lot of us.
I know.
I went for a while. I talked to my customers, but just even translating that into great marketing material, right? It's just, for a lot of us, it's just another thing to do, and it's really important.
Yeah. I mean, so I have the same problem. I just realized I haven't got that many referrals or reviews on my website, so I better get them up, because especially for e-commerce, if you think about it, it's easier to complain than getting a good review. And then pushing those reviews is a huge challenge in e-commerce, is trying to get those customers to come back and put a review, taking the time out, clicking the button and putting a review on, and how to make it easier for them. So that's a huge challenge in e-commerce, to bring those customers, because it's all about a review. If you're buying something on Amazon, you check out the reviews. You see if people liked it, if they had problems with it, the product, or who's saying what. And sometimes the bad reviews actually help, because there's only 2 bad reviews and 100 good reviews. So,
big stuff going on.
Yes. So it is, that's one of the biggest challenges, as well as getting those reviews from customers. But even for me, it's like, okay, please just tell me something. They say write it. You write it, and I go, I can't write it. I talk Namlish, so I can't write it. My English is turned around. So anyway, so I think we've been on. We can talk about this all day long, right? So so you've launched branding Story
Sells as my brand name.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We're actually in the midst of moving away from a company called 1 Week Website, and we're rebranding as a company called Story Sells. So we're actually, you could go to storysells.com, but we're actually, the very things we're talking about, we're in the midst of creating that now.
That's interesting. Yes. And I always say, don't fall in love with your first brand, because you can always rebrand and have a huge relaunch and get your customers to come back, right? So if they want to talk to you, and so you can help them, where they're going to find you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, I would say, so on Instagram, my personal Instagram is just at Danny Peavy. So it's DANNY and then PEAVEY. It's kind of like the instrument company. I think I have a long lost cousin that's very rich at that company, so I need to go figure out if I'm connected somehow. But that's my Instagram, and then my brand is, again, Story Sells. So if you just go to storysells.com, we are in the midst of updating and recreating our brand. But if you find yourself in a position where, your brand is stuck, you don't know what your marketing message is, you have trouble communicating even a marketing pitch to your clients in a succinct way, maybe you're not confident in your sales pitch, maybe you want to write your own website copy for your e-commerce store, you don't know how. I do, and most of what I do every day are story consultations. And we only work with small business owners. So I was in the corporate world for about 12 years. I worked for Apple and IBM. I worked with these really, really big companies. And what happened with me is I got very, burnout's not the right word, but it was very I wasn't satisfied. And the reason why is because I'm really just a guy that likes to roll up his sleeves every day and get his hands dirty. And I like to do something, maybe it's my blue collar background, but, so I've essentially kind of just niched down, even with my brand, into only working with a small business owner. So whether you're a solopreneur or you're doing 20 million a year, if anybody needs help with their brand story, copywriting, just even ideas around marketing their story, they can just follow us online or just email hello@storysells.com and be happy to start a chat with you.
I love that email. Hello.
Right. Well, that's how you start a story. Like, hey.
Yeah, so I do some coding for some of my customers. I love playing. Right. I don't like doing it seriously, but I like playing and changing things up. And so for me to find out where that position is in the coding, I always say, hello, baby. So in fact, Donna, she said to me, Veronica, there's this hello baby on my website. You got to take it out. Do you know how I could not find this thing? They said hello baby, So now I just use hello. But
I might need to change one to hello baby. I kind of like that a little bit better.
Yeah, hello baby. Anyway,
so the worst reason to do hello, but I used to have Danny at on my
Yes.
other brand email, like we all have. And I just was like, I eventually want to get out of emails.
Yes.
And so I thought hello was like a great friendly way, but then, it could become a shared inbox.
Yeah.
Where you don't have to check emails, you can just allow your team to do it,
Actually, I think I'm going to pinch the hello, because this Veronica at veronicajeans.com
Right.
is like, there's too many Veronicas in there. So I'm going to pinch the hello baby. But
hello baby. That's a great t-shirt. We need to start an e-commerce store.
Right. Okay. So you can help e-commerce as well, obviously, because we all need a story. And that's absolutely wonderful. So anyway, I'm Veronica Jeans and I'm e-commerce coach, and I'll help you to get your store up and running. And then Danny will get your brand and your story out there, right? So this is a teammate, a dream team, baby. So
hello, baby.
Yeah, hello, baby. Anyway, so I'm going to have Danny come on again, because I'm going to be posting this all over the place, because I think this is a big topic. We can talk about a lot more as well. Thank you very much for coming and watching this. If you're watching afterwards, if you want any information, you can get hold of me at Veronica Jeans Mentor, and on Messenger, on Facebook. My Instagram is not so good, although I did dub it ecommerce.queen the other day. So so that's what I'm going with. I'm always available everywhere, so just chat, and I'll get you in touch with Danny as well if you can't remember where you can contact him. Thank you very much for popping in. If you pop afterwards, thank you very much for watching. We love you all, and we will be back.
Bye, guys.